Splash pages throw that.
Cool beans, and I got a nice little treat when I bring in my inner Sofia.
Cool.
Oh.
Yeah, so here comes the starting soon.
Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love The Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh. And Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned, my friends are going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. You're watching Splash Pages, the comic book club, powered by the Dorkening Podcast Network. My name's Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. And as always, the Velvet Joker. How's it going, Rich?
Good evening. How's everyone doing tonight? How are you, Leo? How are you, Mr. Justin?
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. Well, let's talk Valiant.
Valiant. Speaking of that, Justin from Geek Life Headquarters. How's it going, my friend?
Doing awesome, man. Glad to be back.
Oh, totally. And you brought a nice little book with us. Before we get into that, should I bring my Sofia right now?
Oh, please do. Yeah.
Tell you what, Rich, why don't you keep the oh, I lost
This is the inner Sofia magic. It's happening. Feel it. Love it. Live it. Come on, Leo. Don't leave me hanging. Do it.
Hold on. It's fucking
He's putting his Sophia mask on.
All right, hold on. More magic.
More magic.
I will bring the magic. Here it comes. Any second now. I can feel it. Hurry the hell up, Leo.
Okay, you know what?
Nice.
I was gonna get a Sofia wig, and I can't hear you guys right now, so because my headphones fell. But I figured since I'm traveling back in time, I get a nice Back to the Future hat. Looks a little less silly than a Sofia wig. Okay, so channeling my inner Sofia, picture Sicily 2012. Barack Obama was president. A rematch of the 2008 Super Bowl. The New York Giants defeated New England Patriots 21-17, a major upset.
Yeah!
We paid a ticket price of $7.96 to go see a group of unknowns save New York in the Avengers, which grossed a measly $623 million that year. Followed by a bat with broken bat in The Dark Knight Rises, also The Hunger Games, Skyfall, Amazing Spider-Man, Brave, Django Unchained, Wreck-It Ralph. That was a good year, 2012.
Yeah.
If you're a kid in 2012, you missed out on Saturday morning cartoons, but you did get Adventure Time, the regular show, Amazing World of Gumball, and I didn't know this. Mad had a cartoon.
They did, yeah. It was on Cartoon Network.
Gas cost $3.45 a gallon, an all-time high at the time. We witnessed Superstorm Sandy. Costa Concordia cruise ship flipped over because they were doing a little sightseeing there. And the economy was in recovery. And apparently the zombie apocalypse, yes, it was Florida, where two naked men eating one of the victims' nose and eyeballs. Enough said about that. And there was a couple of zombie-related things. But, Florida. And, the Higgs boson was discovered. So Harbinger, superpowered teenager Peter Stanchik, is on a dangerous path, skipping across the country in a desperate attempt to stay one step ahead of the authorities. Peter is quickly realizing that he's a psionically charged Harbinger with the potential to reshape the course of the human history. But Peter's plight has not gone unnoticed. Respected philanthropist and fellow Harbinger Toyo Harada is about to offer Peter the chance at the things to which the boy has always longed: family, inner peace, self-control, and induct him into the sprawling secret network of conspiracy and subversion known as the Harbinger Foundation. Now Peter begins the long road towards a destiny that will shake the very foundations of the Valiant universe. His first lesson: all power comes at a price. Collecting the 5 issues of the critically acclaimed series by the New York Times best-selling author Joshua Dysart, Unknown Soldier, acclaimed artist Khari Evans from Carbon Gray, and Louis Larosa from Punisher Max. This is a perfect place to catch up with the series that comic book resources called Superheroes at its Best. And if you're interested in checking out, I have an Amazon link up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us, to check out Harbinger Omega Rising on Amazon. How'd I do, Justin?
Dude, that was so good. And that was so good. And then you even had the plug from Comic said this. And I'm like, wow, that was really professional. I think you did it absolute justice, because this is something not a lot of people are probably aware of.
we'll get into whether we enjoyed it or not. But apparently, this was a series in 1996 that Valiant purchased.
So this was an original comic back in the early days of Valiant when Valiant started. They had a book called Harbinger, which was kind of like their teenage team book. Think of like an X-Men or Teen Titans or something along those lines. It was actually one of the more profitable books. Like it was like if you were looking back in the 90s to buy the book, issue number 1 was going for like $125. You're like, what? Why is that so expensive? Limited runs, things like that, errors in the printing, all that. But it was expensive. But so this is kind of like a I guess you want to say like a reimagining of like a previous team book that they had. And I believe the origins are like you said, where they had purchased it, something along those lines back in the early 90s.
Yeah, it was original story by Jim Shooter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. We all know him, Mr. Secret Wars.
Yeah, and he's going to be at New England Comic-Con, right? This week.
Nice. Yeah. You can ask him about Harbinger. Yeah.
There we go.
But the other interesting thing is Harbinger will be the next Valiant movie that they're making. It's not owned by the same company, Sony, that did Bloodshot, which is the other Valiant movie that has come out. But Harbinger will be released by I forget what company it is, but it's going to be the next one that's put up on the screen.
Really?
Now, Justin, something I was reading that existence of Valiant, Marvel sued into obscurity. So, what is the new version of Valiant?
So there's a couple different versions of Valiant. So there's that original Valiant, and then shortly after that, as you said, like with the lawsuits and stuff, there was they were purchased by Acclaim Comics, right? Mm-hmm. So and I think that had something to do with Activision or something like that. But if you think way back to the 90s, right, there was a lot of properties that were getting made into things. Like there was Exo Man War and Iron Man had a video game. Shadow Man had a video game that was pretty popular, but the big one was Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. That was a Valiant comic back then, and then that turned into the N64 game, which was humongous. Yeah. So after that, it just kind of went into obscurity, and you're like, all right, what's happening with this? There's no comics, there's no video games, nobody's doing anything with these intellectual properties. For a long time, they just kind of languished until there was this resurgence from Valiant in 2012, and with that they brought back their characters. They brought back Harbinger, Exo Man War, who's kind of like he's their flagship character, right? So Exo Man War, Bloodshot, if you've ever seen the Bloodshot movie, you know him. Ninjak, who is one of my favorites. He's basically James Bond as like the world's most successful ninja. He's kind of amazing. Shadow Man, who is like your Doctor Strange sort of magical character. Dr. Mirage, who is a psychic that talks to her dead husband that's a ghost and goes into hell to help free spirits. And you're like, what? Archer and Armstrong, which is an immortal paired with like just a young guy, and you're like, what's going on here? Oh, this young guy can do all these martial arts and stuff. There's a lot more to this series than you think. But just some of these books are just so well written and well done, and I mean, just amazing. But coming from where they were back in the day with Jim Shooter and I'm trying to think of who it was that did all the Conan books, but there was like 3 people that had the company. It was like Jim Shooter and I want to say Menser Lobes, but I'm not sure. The guy that did the Weapon X Wolverine book, but a couple artists and all that. And I mean, it was good stuff. It didn't last because it didn't hook on like everything else. But this version of Valiant that we're looking at, combined with the version that comes out in 2015, that's kind of where we are in current continuity with Valiant. And these guys actually claim to have the 3rd largest connected universe out of all comic companies. So Marvel, DC, and Valiant, more than Image, more than Dark Horse. And I mean, that's ambitious.
Oh, you mean, okay, yeah, because so connected between the individual titles.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Okay,
yeah,
so
because
Bloodshot, all that, yeah.
Yeah, Image, I mean, really, they do crossovers, but it's, like Turtles, Turtles only well, they crossed over with DC and like Predator and stuff. Ghostbusters is crossing over with Transformers for some reason.
Yep, the IDW. Yep, you've got right now My Little Pony and Transformers are crossing over. That is a real thing, my friends.
That's crazy.
Oh, and Jurassic Park and Transformers.
That's awesome.
I just saw that today.
That's even better than the last one.
Yeah,
I'm
there's
Dr. Ian Malcolm, and I'm a Transformer. Yeah.
They got the T-Rex and the Jeep. I guess they come as a set or something like that.
Oh, cool.
Or, I don't know if it's I saw the pictures today. It looks crazy. Yeah,
that's part of the fun in this story, because you've already come across, by reading this, you've come across some major players in the Valiant universe, and you didn't even know it. So, I mean, Pete's up there, but Toyo Harada is like the Charles Xavier of this universe, and he has his hand in every pie, so to speak.
I'm glad you said that, because I was getting kind of by the time I finished the second book, I was getting a real X-Men vibe. I was like, oh, they're setting up like the X-Men, but a little more funded.
And they start off with kind of his mentor there, the Bleeding Monk. So the story behind him is that he's one of the world's most powerful psiots, which is what they call psychics. He's a near immortal precognitive and telepath, and he was wounded with a mystic spear, and it causes constant bleeding and the wound to never be closed. So we just kind of walk in, and it's like the room is blood red, and you're like, what's going on? This is very reminiscent to me. If you've ever read a book called Triumph and Torment, Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, this starts out almost exactly the same way, with like how Doctor Doom shows up at like the Mystics cave there. So I'm like, all right, I see where you're going here. So it's pretty fun.
Absolutely.
And
I was going to ask you guys a question. Do you like Pete, like to start out?
No, he's not a good character.
Yeah, man. It's funny. I didn't like him until maybe the last book, and then I'm like, oh, okay. I'm starting to see what's going on. But this is a troubled character he's using his psychic gifts to try to get drugs to help his buddy out and himself, and he manipulates a woman into thinking she's in love with him. Like, wow, this guy is kind of a piece of crap.
Yeah, he does not make good choices.
No, definitely not.
But you definitely see, where life has really fucked him over, though. I mean, it's definitely. He reminded me a lot like I had a nephew that definitely went down the wrong path, and I can see a lot of him in Peter, and you have the friend that's trying to, even though you're trying to be good, he's constantly fucking up your life, and but yeah, it's just like nothing went right for him.
It's funny because he's running from all these people, and you're not really sure who the bad guy is for a good portion of this book. You're like, oh well, he's trying to get away from this guy, and he's already mind wiped him like 6 times, but he keeps coming after him, and he's trying to get together with Toyo Harada, who's trying to help him out, but it's one of those things that always stuck with me from Lord of the Rings, when it's like you have someone who wants to help you, and they feel fair, or they seem fair and feel foul, where realistically you should be with the person who feels fair and seems foul, like your Aragorn or something like that. And I mean, to have like this whole thing handed to him is like, oh, here you go. You're going to be the chosen one. Come with us. You can be with me. And he doesn't even suspect that there's ulterior motives or anything,
Right. Which is like the first question you got to say. What do they really want from me? And I still think even at the end of the 4 books, it's not totally really revealed, because Harada says one thing to him, and then he talks to the Bleeding Monk, and he says another thing about Mr. Stanchik's future, and it seems to be multi-layered here.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely a book that this arc is building to something, and I would have really liked to have kept going with it to see what it was building to. It's definitely like an appetizer.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Just a taste of the story. Did anyone go beyond? I did not.
I did not this time because I've got the trade paperback. So,
Okay.
and the cool thing that Valiant did when they released all the trade paperbacks, the first issue of all of them is the cheapest. I think it's like $9.99, and then when you get to the next ones, it's like $14.99, like 2, 3, 4 things like that. So if you want to get into it, it's always a little bit cheaper. And I go to a place called Half Price Books out here where I get it half anyway. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'll check it out.
Yeah, that's not bad. $5 for that?
Yeah, seriously. And it's well worth $5 worth of reading. So,
totally. Yeah, the it's you talk about how we feel about Peter, but it's hard to see. There's really no good guy in this.
I agree with that. Because you've got supporting characters, like on the page there you're showing you've got Ingrid, right? And is it Darpan is the character, the other one? And then you've got Hidden Moon, right? And I mean, to me, he reads as Professor Snape from Harry Potter a little bit, where it's like he wants to push you, but he also wants to hold you back and show you who's boss. And also, if you guys are into My Hero Academia, there's the teacher, Mr. Chizawa, who can turn your powers off. He kind of reminds me of him a little bit too. So, but all of this would have well preceded the My Hero Academia.
And spoiler, I mean, what they do to his friend is just what the hell? Why did they do that? But you see, they were trying to. Well, I don't want to spoil it. Well, fuck it,
Well, I mean, it's at this point, it's just about 10 years old.
Yeah.
So from this, and it's going to be in the movie, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, so I mean, you have Peter, where the monk, says he's going to be the harbinger and destroyer of the world, and you figure you got a last bet to bring him back to the light side by killing off his friend and trying to think, he has nowhere else to turn but, Toyo. And it definitely goes awry, and that's where they leave you off.
Yeah, and I wonder, did they get the girl too?
Well, here's the thing. So as we get into it a little bit deeper, and I think you've just hit it there, so we start learning about some other characters. One of the characters is Faith. So Faith was publicly, I think, the first quote unquote plus size superhero, right? So you kind of have to deal with that. But she is, she has to deal with, I'm insecure about the way I look and I'm never going to get a guy and stuff. So we see that part in wherever she's written and all that. But the cool thing is she is the ultimate fangirl. Right. So she's constantly talking about things like she's into the Hunger Games. She's into Firefly. She's into Joss Whedon and, like all these shows and all that. Past this book, she has her own comic, and it is absolutely delightful. You find out what her powers are and how she uses them, how she manages her fame, how she keeps her secret identity and all that. So this book is such a key because it builds on all other characters that we've seen. Like past this, and the Faith books are really good. They actually they made hardcover books of them, and I think I saw them in like either Walmart or Target. So it's a pretty compelling story. It's pretty fun. And the other characters that we see in here, we get into the date that shows up, Obadiah Archer, and that's a cool crossover because there's a book called Archer and Armstrong, and Archer is this young kid who's kind of like a savant. He was raised by a religious cult of zealots and all that to be an assassin, and he is a badass fighter. He's really friggin' amazing to behold. And his bodyguard is an immortal kind of, think of like Ben Grimm, but not like made of stone. Like if he was just like a regular mook sort of guy, And he's like, "Oh yeah, Michelangelo's David. Yeah, I posed for that. Yeah. I told him to go smaller so he didn't intimidate people when he looked at my junk." It's like, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I drank with Shakespeare." It's like in every comic has all of these historical allegories of someone that he hung out with and drank with. So it's so funny, And the other one that it really goes into is Livewire. We have no idea how important Livewire is in the Valiant universe. We just see her here as a bit player working for Harada. She's a technopath. She has so much importance because she can control machines, she can fly, she can do electricity. She's so cool when we get into it. And she connects with all these different versions of like Valiant comics. Like she's dating Ninjak at one point. She's able to stop Exo Manwar by disrupting his Shannara armor. And Exo Manwar is their big character. That's their Superman. That's their Iron Man, whomever they have. So she is supremely important. So the cool thing, having never read this before, now seeing where these characters come from, seeing someone like Faith in her origin, and seeing, Livewire, I didn't realize she worked for Harada at the Harbinger Corporation. I'm like, this is really amazing. So that was kind of fun, like just picking up these little Easter eggs for me, at least.
Nice. I have a friend at work that he's definitely a Valiant reader, and he's been trying to get me to read Valiant for a bit. But one of the things when we talk about got to pick up our box at our local comic shop, I always know my box is going to be a hefty price because I'm mainly picking up DC and a little bit of Marvel, and he won't go for 6 months, and I'll be like just Valiant is more about, seems like it's more about quality than quantity.
You nailed it, man.
Yeah, you're not getting 5 different Spider-Man books a month. You're getting just it's what the heck was that?
They do some unique stuff right now. The big books that they have, and they have Shadow Man, which just came out, and that's a horror book written by Cullen Bunn. That one's really cool. It goes into like the magic and voodoo aspect of things. They have, I think, a book called Savage, which is kind of like a caveman sort of thing. They have Dr. Tomorrow. There's a new Ninjak book coming out. But other than that, I mean, you have Exo Manwar, which comes out maybe every 3 months. And like you said, for quality, it's all about quality. They're not even putting more than a couple books out each month. But the cool thing is some of the variants they've had have been so interesting. Like, I've never seen it before. They have glass covers or carbon fiber or something like that. And you're like, I can't imagine anything more, collectible than a comic book cover made of glass. That's insane.
That is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Once they charge like that.
It's retail exclusive, so you have to get them after ordering so many from the publisher. So imagine you order like 400 issues of Exo Manwar, then you get that one special edition. So they're really hard to come by.
Oh, okay.
I have never seen one, so I'd love to though.
Kind of like the Platinum Spider-Man #1.
Yeah, you're probably right on that one.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
not the hologram Spider-Man.
I don't think it was hologram. No, it was there was a platinum one that was like a retailer exclusive.
Okay.
And yeah, it's crazy price. I had a chance to buy one for a couple hundred when they first came out. It was like, yeah, it was out of my price range. But
yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been keeping up with the last Ronin ones. I actually was just before I got on here looking at the pre-orders for issue 4. So, but those are like the retailer exclusives are like one for every 25 or something. So they'll get a couple of them. But you got to get there on the day they're released to be able to even have a chance, man.
Yeah. Wow. So going through this, I'm assuming we're all gonna continue reading this. We'll go over our rankings on them. But where else, if somebody enjoyed this, where else should they go next on the Valiant tour?
So here's the interesting thing. If you do Comixology Unlimited, you can get every Valiant book on there, and you can borrow it, and and you can just read it with your subscription. Every single one of them. If you're into digital stuff, you can go to the Valiant website, and they sell like little like your little jump drives that you can plug in with the USB, and you can get this entire collection of their entire run of from 2012 through 2015 on a jump drive for like $45.
Really?
So the amount of stuff that you get for the value is ridiculous.
That is crazy.
Not even just that, you can still go and get all of the trade paperbacks at places, like I said, I go to Half Price Books, or I'll go to my comic shop, and they'll have them if they're used like half price. This stuff is out there. It's incredibly available, and you could even get the back issues if you want. I did that because I started getting into a book called Quantum and Woody, which is hilarious. I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of that. It's they're two brothers. One is black, one is white, and they have a goat. And it's just, I mean, their villain is Thomas Edison. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just so damn funny. You know?
Hey, and for our nerds that don't have the extra budget for that, I actually was able to find this series on comicextra.com for free. There are ads you have to deal with. But I mean, like, I found the old version, the new version. They had the trade paperbacks, so I'm assuming they can find almost anything you need to find on Valiant as well on Comic Extra. Just cool. Our budget conscious nerds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially if you're just looking to dip your toe in. But I can tell you, with stuff this big, there's literally something for every type of comic fan. You've got Bloodshot, which it reads like an action movie. It's just like, wow, whoa, explosion, whoa, what's going on here? You've got Exo Manwar, which is, I'm in space, and I only have one arm, and I've got to fight off this alien invasion. All right, let's do this. Okay, like I said, you've got Faith, who's the ultimate fangirl who became a superhero. You've got Harbinger, which is, how are we going to save the world and get away from this terrible person? You've got the Eternal Warrior, who is the guardian of Earth that keeps dying and coming back since the beginning of time, which is just a really crazy book. And then it goes into the future, and you're like, what is happening here? And then Archer and Armstrong and Quantum and Woody, Dr. Mirage, which is, if you don't even like comic books, I could definitely see people reading Dr. Mirage, because there's so much just passion, and it's so dramatic, and it's like an adventure story, and a love story, all kind of wrapped into some paranormal ghost shenanigans. So, any of that stuff. And like Rich is saying, you can find it. It's definitely easy to come by.
And Rich, you mentioned Comixology. Was it you, or was it
Comixology?
Comixology.
It was Comic Extra.
You were no, Drew was talking about it. And then I think, Justin, you were talking about Comixology before.
Yes.
Yep. I think we were chatting about it the other day, and I ended up just subscribing to it. So
yeah, it's like $7.99 a month. So, in the terms of what you get, and here's the other thing too, you can go to your local library and find these books. My book I had, so I already owned it, but the library has copies of Ninjak and Quantum and Woody and stuff like that. So I love going to see what they have, so I can read it and just kind of dip in my toe and say, is this something I want to keep going with?
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes, no, it's not.
You can also get the digital versions from your local library too. There's a library service, I forgot the name of it. Hoopla, yes. As long as you got a library card, you have access.
And if you pay your library fees.
Yes.
Don't want to be late with your books, young man.
You guys remember when Al Bundy had his book so long, and they finally returned it? I love that.
We speak. It's not Al Bundy, but it's I like to think of it as like a continuation of it. Is we just finished watching and I know this is totally comic related, Modern Family.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, is that such a good show?
It was.
Yeah.
Is that the last great sitcom?
Well, because it finished in 2020, actually. I think, that ran for, 11, 12 seasons, something like that?
It's so funny you mention it. I was just thinking of how that was filmed, and that was filmed similar to The Office, similar to Parks and Rec, and then you've got Modern Family, and it's like that's the style of the 2010s.
Yeah.
You know, it's very different than like a Married with Children or even like a Munsters or Addams Family, you know, some of the older ones.
Yeah. We actually started watching it because of WandaVision.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, because everybody was talking, it's a Modern Family episode and heard so much about it. We decided to start watching it and fell in love with it. So we just binged it. And
But I don't know if that's the last great sitcom, because I mean, Schitt's Creek was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is a good point. Is that a sitcom? Because I don't even know.
It's definitely a comedy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely a comedy, and in that vein,
watch anything with Chris Elliott in it.
I'll spin left. We just previewed that first episode of that new Fuck Kevin, which is the girl from Schitt's Creek, the sister. It's her new show, her new premise.
Oh,
and we hated it. We thought it was a disaster.
Really? That's AMC?
Absolutely. Was that Leo? I'm sorry.
That was AMC.
I don't know what it's on, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a TV pirate. I don't know what day it's on. I don't know what time it's on. As long as it's been viewed, I can view it.
Okay. Okay.
Stay true to character. What can I tell you?
Hey, that's why we love you. So
yeah, totally. So not that good, huh?
No, it was well, they're trying to do something. Like, it's part corny sitcom, but they're also doing, like, they're trying Boston accents, and I don't really feel like they're doing it very successfully.
Oh boy.
And and then they sort of flash to this whole other thing where it's like her dealing with depression and anxiety, and it's sort of dramaful, and I see they're trying to trope it up, but oh my god, I don't know, maybe I need to give it another episode or two, but it was really hard to digest that whole first episode.
Wow.
What's your cutoff for a series? How many episodes will you watch?
Sometimes I won't last 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
If the acting is really horrible and the dialogue is like, if I find myself trailing off and looking at my phone, I know it's a bad show.
There you
go. But yeah, I mean, I could go one episode, I could go 3 episodes. It all depends on my mood, because right now I've got a few things I'm watching, so I'll probably throw that back on the back burner for a month or two till I get dry again before I give it another resurgence.
Now, I don't know if you guys knew this, but speaking of shows, they filmed I want to say it's a 4-episode miniseries. It's called Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe. You can definitely watch this on YouTube, and I'll send you a link, Leo, for this. You'll recognize some of the cast members, but to play Bloodshot, they actually got Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger. So to play this. So this does feature Livewire. Livewire's in it, so that's kind of cool. Obadiah Archer's in it, but there's no Faith or there's no Pete Stanachek or anything like that. But it's kind of a little glimpse into the Valiant universe. Not exactly a sitcom, but but it's got some fun moments, and it's a cool watch. And it's all based on, they had a 4-issue miniseries where Ninjak had to kind of take on all of the big characters in the Valiant universe. So it is kind of fun.
Nice.
Where's the production value like, Justin?
Should be on YouTube. You should be able.
Oh, I think we're losing you, Justin. You there?
Yep. Yeah, I dropped out for a second.
Okay.
YouTube definitely has.
What's the production value of that?
Pretty good, actually. I'd say better than Sci-Fi Channel quality. Not like cinematic quality, but they put some money into this. It's the costumes look really good. The makeup is good. The effects are pretty decent. It's one of those things where you're like, huh, it's like it's not quite a fan film, but it has like the energy of a fan film because it's more passion than production.
Yeah. Well, listen, I won't lie. Going into this, I was a little bit. I was like, I don't know. I'm kind of dreading this, and I kept putting off reading it, and I kept putting off reading it. And I'm not. I don't object to non-Marvel and DC titles. I've certainly read my share of independents, but I don't know. I just wasn't excited for whatever reason. I hadn't heard about it. I wasn't aware of it. But Justin, I got to say, besides that, the story was really fun and great and captivating. I mean, I literally had no TV, nothing was on. I was at the computer, reading, eating my pizza, reading. And you now hearing you talk about all the other characters that were integrated in the story, I now have an interest in this universe. So
that's
yay,
awesome.
Thanks for the suggestion.
And there's a whole book on Toyo Harada too. So it's I think the life and times of Toyo Harada, and I mean it's basically he survived the Hiroshima blast in Japan and he became the world's the first most powerful telepath until Pete came along. So.
Right.
But that's awesome to hear, man. And I'm excited. I like I said, I have never read this book. Like I'm familiar with these characters, but I was so into the other aspects of the universe. I'm like, I'll get around to reading it. And it's funny too because I've seen so much better from Valiant in like some of the aspects. Like I really like the writing in this, but for me, I'm like the art was a little off, which is weird for me to say, but it's I wish that it was a bit less I don't know, I wish it was a bit more like the covers that we saw, like those like almost like more photorealistic and stuff. And I know that would have cost like crazy amounts of money, but it's like I wanted like a more realistic story from it. So at least in the art. So
okay. I'm right there with you with the artwork. I mean, it's in some spots it was really good, and like the covers were amazing. But where it really fell short for me, it was definitely the artwork. But the story was awesome.
Yeah,
it was definitely a story where you can definitely see the realities in it. Even though you're talking about a guy that can move stuff with his mind and just has all these powers, and all these other people that have their powers, and but yeah, it was really decent. Yeah.
And there's a natural progression for Pete too, because like I said, in the beginning of the story you don't like him, then you get to the end and you kind of see what he's all about, and you're like, oh, he's kind of a prick, oh, he's got a hard edge, oh, but he really cares about his friend and he really kind of wants to do that. And then you get to the part where they're asking him to turn on someone's latent psyop powers. Yeah. He's like, I don't want to do that. And he takes a stand against, the only person that's ever helped him, because he has a moral issue against what's going on. He doesn't want to hurt anybody. We haven't seen that until this point. So we're 4 issues in until we actually see any real humanity out of Pete. So yeah, I'm like, good.
Well, yeah, because he's told 1 in 4 die from the procedure, and it's either putting faith was it faith at the time, or
yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, so it was saying, either put her through the machine or give it a go, and obviously it worked. It's
and then we get to the last panel, and she saves his ass. So.
Yeah. So crowbars. Who would like to go first?
Just let our guest Justin go. His book.
So out of 5, I don't want to rate this one too low. But like I said, the art to me, it's like the art could have been a little more clear. Like it's, I don't know what it reminds me of. It reminds me of like maybe Ultimate X-Men or something like that, like back in the day. So it's like, it's not bad. And I don't want to say that it's bad at all. I just want to say I felt like it could have been clearer had it been drawn in a different style. I'm going to say that the story I liked a lot. I'm going to actually give this 4 crowbars, but with like, just on the edge of 3.5 to 4, because I really like the story, but the art took it out of it for me. So if I could do 3.75, I would do that, but probably just 4.
You can do whatever you want to do, my friend. Whatever.
All right, 3.75.
3.75.
There you go.
Velvet Joker.
Just to be difficult.
Yeah, I'm not too far off of Justin's. I'm actually going to say 3.85. Less for me about the art. One of the things that kept bothering me, and it's done in many comics, like in the beginning when they rehash the story, like they kill a page or two of rehashing what we already heard, previous book and previous book and previous book, and I've always found that to be very annoying. And I feel like you're almost saying, "Hey, customer, you're stupid. You're not going to remember what you just read and what you've been anticipating the next part of the story to be." So for that reason, instead of the art, I'm going to say 3.85.
Very fair. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, like I said, the only thing I found, and it seems like we all have the same issue, was the art. But I mean, looking at the art of the last panel, actually, I'll show right here. The monk, I mean, that just looks friggin' badass, and
it's very prophetic too. Like you just see that he's left the place that he was with the bloody footprints, and then he's walking down the bridge. It's pretty cool.
There's definitely some interesting imagery in this. I know you guys were complaining about the art, but like the birth of Darpan.
Yep.
The baby that had never been picked up before, because anyone who got near it would relive horrible memories of their lives. And then Harada sort of takes him in. And the woman that was like watching over him that had like no eyes.
Oh yeah.
Very creepy, that imagery. So I mean he's definitely pulling some good stuff going on. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's positioned well, it's staged well, like for dramatic effect and all that. I think like the action and all that, it's in good spots. For me, it's all about the details and some of the things, like especially in the first issue, like when he meets Chris, the girl, and all that. I'm like, all right, what's going on with her face? There's like crap all over her face. So, and again, that's me being totally nitpicky with the art. It's not that I dislike it. It's just like the details in it really kind of bother me. So,
yeah, I noticed that as well about her face, and then later on in a different, then you see that it's a lip.
Yeah, and you're like, what? This could have been clearer. Yes, this could have been a little more clear. So,
so for me, I think I'm going to give this 3.5. Maybe closer to 3.75, but yeah, definitely a solid 3.5. And like I said, the artwork, I wish it would have been better, but yeah, the story was great. And I think you've introduced us more to Valiant there, Justin.
Yeah, I'd love to see you guys like take a look at a book like Ninjak and that, because if you look at the Matt Kint run on that one, where you have Clayman doing the art, oh my God, that's like where we were just doing Kingdom Come before, where you had like Mark Waid writing and then Alex Ross painting. It's kind of like that. You're like, holy crap, this writing's amazing. Holy crap, this art's even better. It's just like really good. And then the Exo Manwar run, where it's kind of like, if you've ever read John Carter of Mars, it's kind of like that, but in space with space armor, and you're like, oh damn. It's just so cool. Some really fun stuff from these guys. And the original run on a lot of the stuff is, you can find any of it in like your quarter to 50-cent bins at any comic book shop. You can go in and you can find it. Absolutely. The first appearance of Ninjak you can get for like $2, or 50 cents, depending on, like, my comic shop does like 50-cent Wednesdays and stuff like that. But like, they were hard to read back in the day because they were on cheap paper stock and they didn't feel good in your hands, and the ink would bleed, and the covers were too thin and all that. So it's like there was a lot of issues that I had with it back in the day. But these are on like it's on like you remember Oak Tag from like when you're in like elementary school, like that really thick sort of cardboardy paper, like the card stock. They have like card stock covers with like beautiful laser printed colored pages and all that, and wow, this has a really good feel to it. So they've really upped their production from the 2012 through currently. So I highly recommend. I know they have Savage, Doctor Tomorrow, Shadow Man, Ninjak will be coming out again. And Rye, I think, is another one. All of these sort of things, these books are out now, and they're pretty good. So I would say check out some more stuff from them.
Will do. Yeah, I'll go borrow some stuff from Comixology. Give it a try.
There you go. Yeah.
Dip the toe.
Yeah. So I know normally before we talk about what we're reading now, but we didn't do that. We went right into the story, and I think that was a good progression. So what do you guys is there anything else you guys are reading right now, or what's going on?
I was reading Heroes Reborn a couple of days ago.
Oh,
is that good?
Which is interesting. I'm trying to see where they're going with it. It's interesting storyline, keeping me captivated. The art is good, sharp. But
Juggernaut the Duck, it looked like.
What's that?
There's a Juggernaut the Duck.
Yeah.
That just looked amazing. Like my mind was like, what?
Yeah. They're definitely doing some interesting fusions of characters. It's fun stuff, but yeah, that's about it at the moment. I'm not. I read this tonight. I read that earlier in the week. That's about it for me at the moment. How about you, Leo? What are you reading?
Well, I blew through Batman Earth 1 Volume 3, which was phenomenal. Definitely a little twist on the Two-Face character. And but yeah, some people were complaining about it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I need to get caught up on Robin. I think issue 4 just came out. I'm also reading. You can totally sense the theme, but the Detective is a new Batman series. That's pretty good.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, he's over in. I believe he's over in the UK. Trying to solve a mystery of. So basically, this cult is killing off anybody that's Batman has saved. So trying to negate his worth into the world. And yeah, it's really interesting. Really enjoy it, and especially interesting some new characters that like Batman. Brings out the Batmobile, and obviously he's overseas, and they're like, what, did you fly it over here? And he's like, no, I have a car in every country. Yeah, just been enjoying that. I tried reading.
Wait, is Batman wealthy again? I thought Batman was poor. I'm confused.
It's probably in Elseworlds or something.
Yeah, it's definitely in Elseworlds. But he is poor, but not like he's brought down to millionaire status.
Oh, he's no longer billionaire.
Yeah. They matter of fact, the last issue of Batman, I think it was the last issue or the one before that. They were talking about, I thought you were poor, and it was like, yeah, I'm only a millionaire now or something like that. Because he has this brownstone in the city now, and yeah.
Well, he can't spend on tech like he used to, right?
No, not at all. He has a nice car now though, which is pretty cool. But he always has a nice car. Yeah, I tried reading Web of Spider-Man. I thought, first couple pages it was looking good, but then it got weird. So I'll give it another try. The
Web or a back in the day Web?
This is a new one, WEB.
Mm-hmm.
Web of Spider-Man is but yeah, I'm interested. I've been seeing Heroes Reborn, so is it like a retelling or?
It feels like an Elseworld story, but I'm not sure because they're not really revealed. At least I think I'm one issue behind. They're not really revealing like what's going on. It just seems to be like there's something going on in the universe, and it's just totally. You got to read it, Leo. It's hard
like a reality thing, right?
What's that?
It's like a reality thing, isn't it? Where
it
reality
feels like
gets changed.
There's something's changed in well, I mean, it's not like our kind of universe. Like everything is different. People are like amalgams of characters or different people, and I don't even know how to describe it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm kind of flummoxing this one.
No, because I keep on seeing different covers, and it's like Heroes Are Born, then there's like all the different storylines. It's like a one-off. Is it like one-offs or a series or?
I think it's all connected, but I'm just reading the I think there's
the main one. Okay.
5. Yeah, the main storyline. I haven't been reading the spin-off at all.
It's like a Marvel company-wide crossover, like Secret Wars was. So there's going to be one central or War of the Realms, something like that. So it touches all the different characters in the universe.
Exactly.
Okay, and they have the Heroes Return as well.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that.
Okay. Okay. Well, and what about you, Justin? What else? What do you got going on?
As I mentioned, I was checking out the library, and I did pick up some cool books. There is a Batman Elseworlds book that has all these different stories of Batman, including like the story where he became a Green Lantern. So I'm picking through that. I did start reading again Batman: The Long Halloween after watching the animated film.
Nice.
It is by far my favorite Batman story, and I know a lot of people are into Hush and all that, but like Long Halloween is a detective Batman story, and it's so good.
Awesome.
I read some Indiana Jones comics that they had. That was kind of fun. It's just it's always good to see just some grumpy old indie. Reading Daredevil as usual, but I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think about the character Punchline in the DC? Because you see her, she's all over the place and all that. And I'm just kind of interested, like, how is she landing with you as fans?
Is she over already?
No, she's. I feel like she's being put out there as like the new Harley Quinn, but she doesn't have like the street cred for that. And we're like, whoa, slow down there, girl.
Well, I read her in a couple of storylines, and I read her her background, her origin.
Mm-hmm.
And then she slits Harley's throat, and then Harley kicks her ass.
Mm-hmm.
And then it seemed like Harley kind of embarrassed her, and Mr. J kind of was like, yeah, whatever. And then I thought that was it with her. I thought she was just sort of a one shot for like a year, and that was it. But
they gave her own series, I think.
Now?
Something like that. So she had she's been in like a couple other books since and all that.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware. I apologize.
No, I didn't know either. I mean, I just saw her in the Batman storyline, and yeah, it was definitely. I took her as like a harsher Harley Quinn. Like Harley Quinn's like more comedic, and she was like really, trying to be like a real eviler version of Harley Quinn. At least that's what I took it at. And but then you always see the panel floating around, something like. Batman has like an energy source in his belt, and she goes, "What do you call it?" And I call it the battery or something like that. I'll have to find the panel. It's a lot funnier than I'm putting it, but
no, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm just always curious because I wonder if it comes across as ingenuine to other people, because to me, I'm like, all right, who's this person that they're shoving down our throats? Because there's some gems in there that are like really cool characters that are like, oh, where did this one come from? And then it's like there's this character. It's like, wait a minute, we have a Harley Quinn. Why are you trying to recreate the wheel here?
Yeah, it's like she's a fangirl, but she's also kind of murdery.
Mm-hmm.
But she's not in love with Mr. J, but she's in love with his essence or what he does.
Jeez, look at
I don't know.
I love it.
A weird character.
I love it.
It's a strange psychological profile.
Yeah,
Mr. J's happy to use anyone as he can, and I mean, it's just him putting his will out there, and it's like extensions of himself, and if he can cause more chaos that way, then so be it. whether she's there or whether she's not there, he's really not going to care one way or another.
Which is totally interesting. And I mean, that's a character that you could talk about for years and years in terms of like being such an interesting character. I heard a theory one time from someone who was into, let's say they're into an alternative sort of lifestyle, right? And their theory was...
Is it a furry?
No, it was not a furry. It was something a little different. It was like a dominatrix and all that.
Oh, okay.
And they had suggested that the dom was actually Harley, and the submissive was actually Joker. But it was kind of switched over for like when they were not in the bedroom. So he was basically like playing an act until they got into the bedroom and things were, and he's like, here's all the signs. You can see this, like psychologically, he's a lost boy character in this. And I was just listening to this person. I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. I wonder if they would ever embrace that, so there's so much you can do with the Joker and Harley and, just the Joker and
Jay with the ball gag.
Exactly. And that's the thing too. You could go into that whole other side of like deviance and all that and how he's so very different than Batman, So it's, I don't know. I just think it'd be
let's
interesting.
be honest. They had a hard time with Batman going down on Catwoman, so they're not even going to approach that.
He 100% does. There is no way.
They showed Batman's junk. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But then they pulled it out right. Well, and I know that's the wrong saying, but
that was a marketing play. That was the plan all along.
Yeah,
I think the Black Label was just one of those things they weren't prepared for. They're like, wait, you did what? They're just like, oh, yeah, we can't do that.
That turned out to be such a good book, though.
It was a really good book. Yeah. Absolutely. And you talk about like the Joker interaction in that with Constantine and all that, Batman the Damned. That's definitely one you're going to have to cover on splash pages, man.
Oh, totally.
Or on another show.
You haven't, Rich? You haven't read it?
No, I didn't read that. I didn't read the Schlong episode.
You're gonna like the not because of the Schlong, but you're gonna like the book.
You're gonna like it. It was girthy.
Yeah, it was. We're not talking to Chode here, man. That's
there is a Schlong
free content show. We've got the previews. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. This is the nudity you heard about.
There is a Schlong free version if you care.
Okay, but you'll have to send me the link, Leah.
Okay, I will do that.
Schlong free link, please.
Okay, I'll try to find it for you.
But if you can just send me the regular link. I do not fear the Schlong.
Okay. Well, it is in our drive already. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's well, there's a whole section for Lee Bermejo. Pretty sure I put it in there, and the American one. It's I got hooked on his art, Lee Bermejo. I know I'm saying his name wrong, but he's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, everything's painted, and it's just really almost realistic to a point. It's just it's different than an Alex Ross because it looks intense.
Yep.
Whereas Alex looks like, oh, that's a real person. Lee's looks like, oh crap, that demon is coming to burn me. It's I don't know how else to put it. It's guttural. It creates a reaction in the viewer.
Yeah, and I mean he does. He's done Superman before, but it's just the way he draws Batman is just friggin' incredible. Easily one of my favorite Batman.
Didn't
artists.
he do the cover for one of those Batman that you were just reading? I think he did some of those covers.
I think so. He's been doing a lot of. Anytime there's like a series of special covers, he's been. They find their way in my bin.
Yeah, I know Detective 1027. He did a cover. Yep. I think he did one for the Joker's 80th anniversary, and I'm not sure if he did the Superman the Action Comics 1000, but I know he definitely did a couple. And his stuff is so good, man. And going back to like his Marvel stuff was excellent too. He did a ton of Daredevil work.
Really?
Oh yeah. Some really, really cool covers. If you go back to, I want to say like the Brian Bendis run, which I'm not the biggest Brian Bendis fan, but his run on Daredevil was very good. So, but yeah, some of those covers were back then.
I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, nice. Leo's like, as mentioned. Here you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, see, that's so cool. That's like hanging on your wall cool.
Yeah, totally. I picked up his art book for Batman.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had a specific Batman art book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe it's
Oh yeah, there's his Joker. That is so good.
Yeah, the art of Lee Bermejo. It's pretty sure it's just Batman.
See, it's like I said, it's almost photorealistic but intense. So
yeah. Yeah, his Joker's pretty good. Yeah, he does come on, why didn't it pop up? Rich, he did a Joker book specifically. It's have you read it? It's just Joker
with Brian Azzarello.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I read that.
That's in that folder as well.
All right.
Yeah, no Batman in it. It's just a storyline devoted just to Joker and somebody that's I don't think Batman's in it.
That story actually, I believe, predates The Dark Knight. So it's one of those things where we speculate, of course, that's where Heath Ledger got the idea for his look, because that's where it came from. It's a hell of a book.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and it's just it is just a focused story, focused just on Joker and one of his minions that wants to rise up. And
that's for Brian Azzarello, that one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and if it's not in the folder, I'll make sure it is for you.
All right. I will be looking for it.
Cool beans. I know we're running a little bit on time, but it's okay. Obviously, we should mention Loki. You guys all caught up on Loki?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Looking forward to tomorrow to see the next episode here.
So do you think I know there's a lot of theories out there, but a lot of them are crazy, especially seeing what they did with
no theories are going to pan out at all if that has taught us anything from these Marvel shows.
I hope that's the fact, because that's what I loved about WandaVision, because Doctor Strange is going to be in it, and all these theories, Mephisto and everything, and none of them came true, and I absolutely loved it because I was surprised, and I hope that they do the same with Loki. But watching it is we definitely know that there's something up with the TVA. A lot of people are speculating Kang is going to be the main baddie.
Be a good introduction, that's for sure.
Yeah, and but all that craziness at the end of the episode, especially like that 3-minute supposedly like one shot, was that all an illusion? Because we were introduced to the illusion in the beginning, and she tells Loki how to do an illusion like that. So, is he mixing realities or something?
I like the idea that Mobius, Agent Mobius, the name comes from the Mobius strip, which is your infinity sign.
Yep.
So that's kind of interesting to me, what they have going on with him. And the real interesting part of the show is just watching these two verbally spar with each other. Yeah. And that's just like, I'm like, all right, I don't even care what's going on. I just want to see how they're going to react to each other.
Owen Wilson is just such an awesome actor. He's
so good. Yeah.
I could watch him in anything, and it's he needs to. I'm glad he's coming back for this, and I hope this is like a resurgence of his career. And I hope we see more of him in Marvel. Maybe we'll get the Loki and Owen show.
Well, you never know if he's going to show up in like Eternals or something like that too.
Yeah, he could.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting too to see how everything kind of plays out with these new movies that are coming out. Are they going to reference Wanda and Vision, or the Winter Soldier, and all of these things? What kind of...
They kind of gave it a pause with this last episode on Loki, but how about all the timelines that they get bombed? All the possibilities of that possibly changing everything that we currently know about the Marvel Universe.
And wouldn't Heimdall have been able to see Loki, at any given point? So, I know that the Infinity Gems don't work here, but what about like all these other areas of continuity, like, the Soul Gem and things like that? So how does any of that stuff not affect the TVN or TVA, is it?
Their power is so much stronger, apparently. That they use it as paperweights. They laugh at the Infinity Gem.
What's a fish?
Doesn't work in that universe or that alternate whatever place that they're in.
Yeah. The American one says, "Hey, off topic." Nothing's off topic, but he says, "But what defines what a comic book is? Can a hardcover be a comic book? If it's too long, is it not a comic book?" I would imagine, obviously, it would have to be pictorial. It's. I mean, a lot of people call the longer ones graphic novels, but they're all comic books. What do you guys think?
A potato is not a comic book.
Doesn't matter if it's drawn and it's a story, and you think it's fun. You want to call it a comic book? You want to call it a graphic novel? You want to call it a graphic book? Have fun. Go for it. We don't care. Just enjoy.
Remember those Calvin and Hobbes books? Remember those the Far Side galleries? Those are comic books.
Yeah.
You have floppies, which people get, like the actual physical issues, like Leo and I, we go to the store and get the floppies, right? You got your digital comics that Velvet Joker is reading, right? You've got a graphic novel, which could be a standalone story as a graphic novel. So say something like the book Mouse, that's all a graphic novel. That's not into individual issues. And then you've got like a collection like Harbinger that we just read, issues 1 through 5, and that's in here. It's a collection of comics. So, but you can call it either, I suppose. So whatever floats your boat, American one.
Yeah, and totally agree with Velvet Joker. As long as you're enjoying it, it's call it whatever you want. And it's so my mind just went blank. Duh.
Are you talking about comic books? Like what makes a comic book?
Well, so you talk about like Calvin and Hobbes and everything. Those originated from comic strips.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's a collection of in a book, and they're comics. So yeah, it's still a comic book. But like Killing Joke. So
yeah.
The American one, I'm right there with you. I was confused when I first started collecting and everything. And when I started organizing my collection, I thought that any graphic novel had to originate in floppies, but I was completely wrong. Killing Joke was just a graphic novel right from the start, and that digital one, Justin, we talked about before. What was that? Digital Justice?
Oh, Digital Justice. Yeah, that was specifically a graphic novel. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was totally off the mark. I thought it was a redo of Dark Knight Returns, but I reread it and it wasn't. So you were right.
Books like God Loves and Man Kills for the X-Men. That was a specific Marvel graphic novel. I think it was like issue 2 or 4 or something like that, because I think the first one was like the New Mutants' first appearance, and then it was God Loves Man Kills. That was specifically a graphic novel.
Yeah, I remember going back probably in the late 80s, Havoc Meltdown, totally its own graphic novel.
Oh man, what a great story. I love that you brought that up.
And fun art, very graphic fun art.
Absolutely.
Keep the conversation going. I'm just going to pop out for a second because I smell smoke.
Okay, yeah, go get
I think it's the neighbor's fire pit, but I'm just double checking. But you,
Leo Pond Meltdown.
There we go. You guys keep talking.
Yeah, and going back to that was a book that was just like off the wall crazy about like Cold War politics with Wolverine and Havoc, two characters that are pinned together as buddies that don't quite get along with the most eccentric artist. I want to say, like, Wolverine's hair is like out here 3 feet. It's insane, and I want to say I think that's the one that Walt Simonson wrote. It was like one of the first stories that they let him write, and he wasn't even doing the art for it. And you're like, this is nuts, man. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a great book.
Yeah, I haven't read that in years. I don't even 100% remember the storyline. But yeah, I just remember the art. The art was so crazy.
I think it's basically Havoc gets bamboozled by a redhead, and she tries to get him to do something with like a nuclear power plant. Wolverine has to go save him, and they have to figure out a way to get out of there without getting like horribly irradiated and nuclear energy and stuff. So it's kind of like that. So
right. Okay.
But it's just a crazy story. So
absolutely, and those were painted pages too, weren't they?
The covers at least were painted, but I think you might be right. It might be like one of those gauche things or chalk or something. Like it's nuts. Oh man, the ultimate! Look at that.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
That's a monster.
Wow, look at the size of that thing. That looks like it's got some weight.
Oh, it does. It does.
You could John Wick beat someone with that.
Oh yeah. I'm so glad we.
Oh, look at those oversized pages.
Nice.
That's a sweet looking book, man.
Yeah.
That's a 10 crowbar book right there.
Hell yeah. All thanks to you guys. You told me about it, and it was on sale. So
you gotta love splash pages, man. I mean, it's awesome. I never ever would have read Darth Vader or had the interest to read Darth Vader without this show. And now I have such an appreciation that I went on to read like the Dr. Aphra books and some of the other stuff you guys have talked about when I've just been watching. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go check that out because I'm seeing that Leo and Rich and Drew are really into this. Let me go see what's going on. So
yeah, the Vader books were great.
Yeah, and even that extra C-3PO book, because I just rewatched. I just started rewatching the last 3 Star Wars movies, and the first one, and all of a sudden you see C-3PO come out with a red arm, and I'm like, I know the storyline for that now. I'm like, it's so cool. When the movie came out, I was just oblivious. Like, I don't know why he's got a red arm. Whatever.
Why are you torturing yourself? You, Rich?
I'm torturing myself?
Oh, watching the last 3?
Rewatching the last 3.
I often try to find things to watch as I go to bed, and I last like 10 or 20 minutes. So I'll go 10 or 20 minutes one night, 10 or 20 minutes another night. Puts me to sleep.
Yeah, I need to watch like a documentary or something. Like I know this is hideous, but I watch a lot of Ancient Aliens while going to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It puts me right to bed. But it's
but I will say, Leo, that watching them, seeing the Han Solo get killed episode or a movie rather, I honestly don't know any of the 3 names. Which
The
one
Force
is which.
Awakens?
Yeah, Jedi this and new whatever, and yeah, I know, whatever. So the one where Han Solo gets killed, he looks so old and decrepit, and that's like 7 years ago.
I know.
He just moved and he screwed up the whole thing at Indiana Jones, and he's 78, man. I think it's time to be done.
We were just talking about this in our last episode of Geek Life. We're like, how intense must it be to hang out with Harrison Ford in general? He's like, hey, you gonna hand me that hammer? Well, what? Oh, you're like, what? He's gonna come? Are you gonna yell at me? Are you gonna like? Oh, I just broke my foot. Well, what's going on? Can I get a sandwich? What?
They said he hurt his arm doing a fight scene. What fight scene is Harrison Ford doing? He's going like this, and then they're going like, cut, stuntman. He's doing no fight.
No. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I'm going to see the Indiana Jones, but I'm very much of the mind that they should have done something with Shia LaBeouf or something and been like, let's just hand it off to this guy. I would see it. I think he's a great actor. I think he's nuts, but we watch Nicolas Cage movies. We know he's nuts. Let's just lean into it.
Well, what they need to do, the actor that they that they got for Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe use him as like a young Indiana Jones, you know?
And just dub someone else's voice over him.
Well, it doesn't take too much to go, you know?
For the record, I liked Solo. I thought Solo was a watchable film. I'm like, you know, I'm a Star Trek fan. We like our movies. You know, the one that we don't talk about is the original motion picture. Everything past that is awesome.
Wait, what? Not 5.
All right,
the one with the whale? You like the one with the whale?
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. That's like our third favorite. Absolutely. Yeah. You know, you got Wrath of Khan, you know, you got Search for Spock, and then you've got like the one with the whales, The Voyage Home. So it's like, all right, right there. But yeah, 5 is not great, but 1 is so boring. But it's still like, it's not like Star Wars where we're like, oh, we hate it. It doesn't do this. It doesn't matter. It's Star Trek, and I love it.
You have to go into 1, you know, with the mindset that is like the birth of the Borg, and that makes it palatable.
Listen,
I
love
will watch it. Like
Mandalorian.
Rich says,
I love the Bad Batch. They're doing a lot of good things on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, Bad Batch is really good.
Yeah, Bad Batch.
We don't hate those. We don't hate them.
No.
We don't hate everything, Justin.
No. I don't take you either for a classic Star Wars troll. You know, it would be like, oh, you know, I hate everything after the original 3. You know, there's a lot of fun stuff in The Phantom Menace. Is it a great movie? Definitely not. But the music's awesome.
Aspect, absolutely.
You know, like there's some really cool things in it. And then you get to the second one, and then you get to the third one that they did, and by the time they got to the third one, you're like, all right, we've got a watchable movie. So
well, I think the problem is, and I'm not a fanboy or anything like that, and I don't, you know me, I love just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Force Awakens, I thought was phenomenal. I loved it. It definitely had a lot of hope going into it that we're getting a new Star Wars. It's going to be awesome. And then you get to Canto Bite, and it was like, what the hell are we watching? You know, the casino scene. In
Last Jedi.
Yeah. So
I like that casino scene. I don't know why everyone hates that, and the whole running horse thing afterwards. I thought that was fun too.
The running horse, it was okay. It was just the whole morality that they seem to be pushing down your throat, you know. But it just it seemed like it was turning Star Wars into I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, you know, it's not. You know, I don't want to know too much about the government. You know, and their policies.
Oh, okay.
You know,
I'm following you. So it's more of like a statement about like what the First Order is about, and you know, how they make their money, and what they do to oppress people, like things like that.
Yeah,
So,
I like how, you know, like Marvel. They're getting down to the nitty gritty in the series, and that's where it should be. And that is awesome. You know, that's where you can flesh out characters and flesh out storylines. But in a movie, you really don't want that information. You know, you want a solid plot. You know, you want
good pace, right?
Really good pace. Your character is going somewhere, throwing some action. And, you know, a little bit of comedy, and you're golden. But try to keep the storyline simple, you know? Not...
Right. Yeah. Was it Kathleen Flanagan?
Kennedy, I think.
Oh, yeah, Kathleen Kennedy. And now we've got David Filoni, who's going to more or less going to take over the Star Wars universe.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
What's the next movie they're going to do? Do you guys know?
I do not.
Yeah. They already planned it out. What the hell is it?
Is it? I swear I've seen something for it recently.
The director from Wonder Woman is doing a
Patty Jenkins.
Yeah,
the one who had literally months of COVID and all of that to fix Wonder Woman 84 and decided not to. Oh boy.
Okay, she's doing Rogue Squadron.
Okay. Look out for dummies on the ground with Wonder Woman. Do you know that scene?
No, I don't.
Oh, did you watch Wonder Woman 84?
I did.
All right, so there's this one scene where she's trying to save a child on the road from like a car or something, and as she runs over to grab the child, we can see the child has been replaced with a crash test dummy, and its head is like bobbing around and all that. It is so bad.
Wow.
And I wanted to like this movie so much, and it just kept letting me down. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, dude, I bought the Funko Pops. I was honestly rooting for this movie.
So, a couple things that were wrong with it, and we can talk about this because it's comics. It didn't have any '80s music in it.
Not a scratch. You're right.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if they would have had '80s music in it, would have made it a hell of a lot better. But there was nothing really tying you to the time frame, other than that silly scene with changing into clothes. But yeah, it's and yeah, it was too long.
Yeah.
It's,
the web slinging with the magic blast stuff. That was it for me.
Off of lightning.
Yeah. Off of lightning, no less.
Yeah.
As if it wasn't bad enough just doing it. But
I liked a lot the Themyscira Island scene in the beginning. I thought that was awesome. How they kind of established the whole thing. I'm like, that was so cool. Let's do that.
It definitely had, obviously its good points and its bad points. But the bad points definitely outweighed it. Just real quick, upcoming series and movies. Book of Boba Fett is coming this season, or this Christmas.
Nice.
Mandalorian season 3, obviously. Ahsoka is a series coming out. Rangers of the Republic. Andor is coming in 2022. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Star Wars: The Acolyte. Russian Doll showrunner Leslie Headland will finally take audiences outside of the same 60-year window of let's see. Acolyte is a thriller. Takes place during the final days of the High Republic era. Then Star Wars Rogue Squadron comes out December 22nd, 23. And an untitled Taika Waititi Star Wars film.
Oh, interesting.
Exciting.
Oh, and Lando.
IG-11. Right, that's what we get.
Hey, Justin, what do you think about Mando season 3 sans Grogu?
Oh man, that's gonna be a hard one, isn't it? It's you go from action to like that sweetness balance with it, and you think about how you've got like this whole lone wolf and cub, and just full disclosure, I'm wearing a Mandalorian T-shirt. I don't know if you guys can see it, so I'm definitely into Mandalorian and all that. I think that what they've done with season 2, where it's like, okay, we've got like the Tremors kind of like Dune, in one of the episodes, and then they go into like the whole secession and all that. They've built something that now is going to have its own legs after this. So it can either go way up or it can just plateau. I'm thinking that they're going to escalate it, because this past season they took everything that you wanted in that first season and they said, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to take his mask off. We're going to give you backstory. We're going to make him accidentally become the next successor to the empire that he doesn't really feel a part of. And we're going to challenge his religious connections to, this is the way, all of that. So now they've got to answer those questions that they've kind of unearthed. So in the fact that like Moff Gideon is still around and all, it's just going to be compelling as hell. So I'm going to miss the Grogu stuff, but I was really mad at him for eating them frog eggs. Like, stop it.
What about you, Rich? What do you think?
Oh, I'm interested to see what they do, but Disney so heavily marketed the Mini Yoda, aka Grogu, that I'm really curious. I mean, I'm sure we might end up seeing him on an episode or two, some kind of memory connection or something like that. But I think they want to pull away and try to concentrate on the acting. And some of it really incredible this season. And his name's escaping me right now. Bill Burr. Bill Burr's performance was so I was so impressed. I've always liked him as a comedian. I don't think I've seen him in a terrible lot of things as an actor, but god damn, did I feel him in that.
Oh, absolutely. And this was the year that he really broke out as an actor. Between that and the King of Staten Island, you know.
I forgot about that he was in that. That he
so
played
good.
The stepdad, right?
In season 3 of his F is for Family. So I mean, this has been a really good year for Bill Burr.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Probably one of the more interesting characters from that sort of I guess you call it like a train heist episode or something, but you know, it's like they're trying to break out the prisoners, and you know, it was a lot of fun, that episode, and that's the one that was so different than every other Mandalorian episode. And then they go back to that one. You're like, oh, this was cool. I'm with you, man.
Absolutely.
If you look at
Ming-Na Wen and
the other guy,
yeah,
Aquaman's father.
I can't think of the bald actor.
Mr. Aquaman.
Well, okay, so if you look at that episode, and like you mentioned the Tremors, like the sandworm type of thing in the beginning,
John Carpenter's The Thing is another, or Aliens, one or the other.
But I mean, if you look at the episode Sans Grogu, you know, where he had to go out on his own, you know, like he's on Tatooine and everything like that, those stories still held up, and it was just pure Star Wars story without, you know, having the big names in it. No Luke, no Vader, or anything like that. It was just, you knew it was Star Wars even without it being Star Wars. And it was just, I think it's going to be no problem, even though I absolutely love Baby Yoda. Like you can't tell, you know, I have a dozen of them behind me, but yeah, it's I have faith Baby Yoda will be back. You know, you got to sell more toys. But
I hope Cara Dune comes back, to be honest with you. I hope she can just kind of keep it together. You know, like if you're working for Disney, you've got to expect to keep whatever you have going on. If they tell you don't talk about this, and then you talk about it and act like you're invincible, that's on you.
Yeah,
I'd love to see her come back. Just get your act together.
Well, like any job, you know, if you have a social presence, you know, anything you say could reflect on that job, and you just gotta be careful what you say, you know.
Exactly. You know, and I mean that's the thing. It's like when the fans are literally telling her, we don't want to hear you talk about this. You know, and Disney is telling her, we're not going to pay you anymore because you talk about this. And she's like, oh, I want to exercise my rights. Maybe you should think about this. Yeah.
Well, when she runs out of money, maybe she'll learn that her opinion is not that important.
Hey, I learned it. It's like, I'm not making any money for my opinions. You know, it's, I get you, you know, and I think she did such a good job. She was such a good presence on there. And, you know, it seemed like everybody enjoyed working with her too. So I would love to see her come back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, yeah, I totally agree.
Or she can go hang out with Scott Baio.
Yeah, she could do that too. You know, we've got Ming-Na, so I'm okay with that. Like, guess what? And now we've got Bo-Katan, and now we've got Sasha Banks and all that. All right, cool. We've replaced you. Awesome. Moving on.
We have strong women characters already. You are not irreplaceable.
Yeah. Well, and that was one of the things from the last season, where actually the last episode, where you had an all-woman cast, you know, without them like throwing it in your face, you know, when they were storming that ship.
Not quite Endgame is what you're saying.
Exactly.
It was my least favorite part of Endgame. I actually yelled out, "Really?" in the theaters. And I'm not a chauvinist or anything. I just, like Leo's saying, it's when something is so non-organic and it's just obviously thrown in there to pander, and you're like, oh, who are you fooling, guys? You know?
Yeah, totally. And like, you know, circling around like Canto Bite, you know, throwing it in your face, you know? So, yeah, I'm going to keep on harping on that. So, I think that's about it. Unless you guys have anything else.
Nothing at the top of the dome.
No, we'll talk more.
Are you guys gonna? You think you're gonna check out some more Valiant? Then you were saying, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Totally.
That's awesome. Mission accomplished.
I'll probably start by reading further into this storyline.
Nice. Yeah.
And then see where we spiral from there.
And I think the art might change actually after the next 4 issues. So
Oh, nice.
And Justin, who was the Doctor Strange like character? Dr. Demento?
Shadow. So there's Shadow Man, which is all like voodoo and like dark magic, and they get into like characters like Baron Zamidi, who is like an otherworldly sort of devil-like figure, like a Mephisto sort of. So there's that, and then there's Dr. Mirage.
Dr. Mirage, that was the one.
So both are pretty interesting. So,
okay.
But Shadow Man is the one that's going on right now. There's a couple different versions of that. So, but yeah, Dr. Mirage is an excellent read. It's part. They were like relic hunters, like Indiana Jones, and you'll find it out. So I highly recommend it.
Cool. Can't wait.
Yeah. Well, so Justin, where do you like people interacting with you on the social medias?
The social medias, you can find me actually on the Dorkening page. I'm usually there posting something fun, so feel free to say hi. You can find me in the Epic Shells Facebook group if you're a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan. I know we've got Leo over there. You can also find me at Geek Life HQ. So that is our other podcast. It's a comedy movie review, and we do silly impressions and stuff like that sort of podcast.
Awesome. Velvet Joker.
Well, you can find me here on Facebook, Rich Davis. Pretty public. I'm here every Tuesday night. Flashy pages. Occasionally, I'll sub in with the Dorkening crew on the Dorkening podcast. And find me on Instagram at Velvet Joker 2021. That's me.
Cool beans. And for me, just Google Leo Pond. You find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. But more importantly, I want you to follow these awesome people. I run a little thing called the Dorkening Podcast Network, which we have a ton of shows on the network. A lot of people doing a lot of awesome stuff. And I urge you to follow everybody there. And with that, I do a bunch of shows during the week. We do the Creative Spotlight on Mondays. We do splash pages here on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, I produce a show for Still Token With on Wednesdays, and also the Dorkening. And then I'm going to be putting together a new show on Sundays. We have a comedian joining the network, David Russo. He wants to do a show, Confessions from the Convent. And then Justin has something he's doing. Brandon's going to be doing a show. And then we're putting together a little something called the Dork Night, which should be fun as well.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so a ton of awesome stuff, by awesome people. That, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Have a good night.